is meant to be interactional. So please stop me when you, if or when you have questions. Because I don't want to always be the one that's always talking and sharing my screen, because it sometimes gets a little lonely when you're looking just at a blank screen sometimes. But anyway, the name of this course here that I created is called Time Management Mastery for Entrepreneurs. And the reason that I created this course is that I'm part of the Raleigh Regional Association of Realtors. I'm one of their affiliates. And one of the things that they're working on right now is that they're working on how to keep brand new real estate agents, keep them involved as as an agent, because there's a huge fallout rate when people get their license. And one of the things that we've discovered is that, or they've discovered, because I'm new to the group, is that a lot of these new agents have very poor time management skills. And then I've also realized a lot of entrepreneurs often will also have poor time management skills. So when I was coming up with the ideas of what to do for the August Tuesday trainings, I knew that this should have been this had to be one of them. So I'm going to go ahead and go on Facebook Live as well. So bear with me for a second. Join us for our time. So it's asking me a few questions. There you go. And so we are now about to go live. We're saying so that we're preparing to live stream. And as we do that, does anybody have any questions that they would like to have answered before we go live here? Okay, so I guess, okay, I'm going to move that over to the side. Okay, so so the thing is that when you we're looking at time management, and I took some notes here, so I want to make sure that I cover everything in this training. I do want to say thank you for everybody for being here today. And I'm going to assume put a one in the chat if you are not insurance. That's what I was just saying. Put a one in the chat if you actually are a business owner. And what Ambry just said about being in insurance, you're absolutely right. Running a business, I know like Kyle has a brick and mortar business, which is a little bit different because he's got employees and he's got a storefront. Yep, a Big Frog of Raleigh. So that's like a t-shirt, a printing design company. You do other stuff as well, right? Right, Kyle?
We like to label it as custom garment decoration services, but yes.
There you go. Now is Sarah and the other two, are you guys also self-employed, or are you guys just here to gather some additional information? Okay, so we don't have much activity there. So anyway, let's go ahead and continue. So a lot of the things that I'm just a student, but I dream to have my own business one day. Fantastic. So some of the things that you need to be aware of when you're talking about time management. Number one, let's talk about the definition of time management, and that is the ability to use one's time effectively while you are at work. Now, when you're an entrepreneur, you will notice that many times if you're just starting out, you're going to be working a lot more than 8 hours a day, and you can be working a lot more than 5 days a week. When you're becoming an entrepreneur, especially in the beginning, you will notice that, yes, that you are putting in all that extra time. So when you're actually having effective time management, you're doing it wisely, then this will increase your productivity. It will reduce your stress and also give you better decision-making skills. And most entrepreneurs, usually the newer ones, need to understand that they have to set their own expectations when they're doing tasks and other things. What that basically means is you need to be able to start looking at what order are you going to be doing your tasks, how important those tasks are. So let me go ahead and continue, and we'll go into what is known as the 5 tips to better understand your time management. I'm going to go ahead and do a share screen so I can write these down for you guys. So let me go back to sharing my screen. I'm going to minimize that. Okay, put that out of the way. So I've got a Word file that should be ready to go. So when we talk about the 5 tips to better time management, and management, yeah. I'm going to talk about the first tip. This is going to be the first thing you want to do is set reminders for your task. And I will once the class is over today, I will put this into the chat box as well. So the key to time management is to know your deadlines and set those reminders. Now, if you don't have a deadline, you need to go ahead and see how long you think it's going to take and give yourself that deadline. So you want to have, in these cases, you want to have a 10 to 15-minute reminder that will that you put on your calendar to start to put you in the right mindset. So this is when when you're just starting out. So going with Ambry said about being in insurance. When I was in real estate, I always made sure that if I knew somebody, I was going to be meeting them at a house to show them that house, and I knew it was a 30-minute drive. I always had a timer on my phone to let me know that, hey, I got to leave in 10 to 15 minutes in order to make it there on time. So whenever you have skill or whenever you have tasks that you need to do, go ahead and put it on your calendar. If it's going to be, like, say, a 30-minute task, a 1-hour task, a 2-hour task, put that on your calendar. The second tip to better time management is to create a daily plan. Always, and so you know what your to-do list, or what your checklist is as far as the things that you need to get done. Again, this could be you can call this a to-do list. And then also, when you complete them, tick them off as you complete. So one of the things about having a checklist that I've discovered from my own experiences, when you start, once you start ticking things off, you will start to get a sense of accomplishment. You'll start getting those good endorphins flowing through your body. So you definitely make this list, and then and to click them off as you're finishing them, and give yourself a reasonable amount of time to do your tasks. So the thing is that you don't want to give yourself too short of a time, because then when that time is coming up, you may feel guilty, or you may feel rushed as you're trying to get these things accomplished. So therefore, that means if you don't have enough time, see about extending that time if possible. Otherwise, you're going to have to put it on, finish it at a later time or a later day. So the fourth thing is going to be block out all the distractions. This means, and I've learned this a lot when I've been doing podcasts, and I'm on a lot of podcasts, is when I'm being interviewed or interviewing somebody else, I want to make sure all distractions are turned off. That means like turning off your emails. For those of you that are that feel like you have to answer an email within 5 minutes of it coming in, are usually going to are not usually going to have good time management because you're going to be constantly distracted by that ding in your email. This also means by putting your phone on silent or turning it off. That way you can focus completely on the task at hand. Now, when I'm on a podcast, another reason why I turn this stuff off is I don't want that distraction to actually come up and cause and be a noise that the host has to go and try and take out. So you definitely want to block out all distractions so you can keep yourself focused. And then also you want to establish routines. When creating a system and routines, this will make many of your jobs easier and you will be a lot more effective. So the thing is, like, as an example, let's say you're writing something and it's something that you've done similar before, is after a little while, you will actually develop a routine. An example that I found out early on, many years ago, like say when I was in real estate, I was going to go and take a movie of my house. One of the things, one of the routines I made sure I always did it was I always go to the right. That way I would never miss anything. Because if you go right one way and left the other way on another house, you will start finding out that you're missing things. So you want to establish routines so that therefore you make it into a system that you're going to be able to accomplish these things. I also want to talk about what's known as the four D's of time management. The first one is going to be, what can you delete? This means what do you see that's our task that you have given yourself that I can actually say these are things that you do not need to have. These things are not really that important at all. So you just delete them, you just get rid of them. A second one would be and this would be the case if you are having some employees or coworkers, is what can you delegate? What can you have somebody else do? Now, just because the task is on your table does not mean that you have to do it. As an example, I may have mentioned that I'm the author of 4 different books. Now, I will tell you this right now, my book covers were done by somebody else. Somebody else formatted my books. So these are things that I delegated to somebody else. Now, this could be something that you pay for, or this could be something that you possibly barter with somebody else. So like, hey, you do this for me, and I'll do this other thing for you. So you always want to look at what can you delegate to somebody else. Then there's another one. It's called defer, which means put off until later. So, what is it? What can you defer? If it's not important right now, then go ahead and defer it to another time. And then the fourth D, you can probably guess this one, is what can you do right now? So the 4 Ds of time management is what can you delete, delegate, defer, and or do. So be aware that the mind can only handle so much intense focus, and this intense focus is maxed out usually at 4 hours. So you need to become heavily aware as to what time of the day that you are your sharpest. If you realize that you're sharpest after lunch, then you will want to put your more important tasks probably at those time frames. If you're a morning person, then the same thing. Most people cannot really heavily focus on things for too long, too many days, more than 4 hours in a day. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is you want to identify your priorities. So we're going to talk about the 3 different things that you want to identify as far as priorities goes. Who in here by putting 2 in the chat has ever heard something known as the Eisenhower matrix? Has anybody heard of an Eisenhower? Oh, wow! Thanks, Cal. I was just learning a little bit about this just the other day. So the Eisenhower matrix basically says it is a task management tool that helps you organize and prioritize your tasks by the urgency and the importance of that task. Using the tool, you will divide your task into 4 different boxes. Box number 1 is going to be the tasks. These are the tasks you do first. This is the do. The second task would be, and we're basically covering the 4 Ds in a different order. The next would be these would be the tasks you schedule for later. Again, this is, we talked about this already. This is what you defer. The third is the tasks you will delegate. And obviously that is delegate because that's part of the word that we just used. And then number 4, the tasks you just get rid of, which is delete. So whenever you are looking at your priorities, that you have your list, you always want to look at it as what do I do? What do I defer? What do I delegate? And what do I delete? So on the ones that you can delete, you can go ahead and mark those, either cross them out or you can mark them as being done. When you're looking to delegate, you need to look at who can you delegate it to, and then what time frame or deadline that you're going to be giving to those people. Now, there is a guide that participants in identifying the most important and high impact tasks. Number 1, what is critical? What is urgent? What is important? Then what is not important? Too many people actually focus on number 4. They'll look at the number 4 and say, this is what I want to get done first because it's the easiest, and therefore they're actually putting aside the critical or the urgent tasks that need to be done. So you definitely want to make sure that you identify the order of your task. If you're doing a lot of not important and important, and you're ignoring the urgent and the critical, then this will cause major delays. Critical tasks do need to be done first, even if they're the more difficult of everything that you're going to be doing. Now, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit, and I'll also talk a little bit about goal setting. Now, I would guess that most of you people have heard of of a SMART goal, and I'm sure Kyle has. I see. I see, especially helpful in creating awareness why you are choosing certain tasks. Yes, that is definitely important. You want to look at why you're choosing that task, but you also want to be looking at this: why are you choosing that task over something else? If you start looking at it from what is critical, urgent, important, and not important, maybe at those times you will actually stop doing some tasks and start doing some of the other ones that are more important to you, or even for your business. Now, I'm kind of glad Aubrey said what she just said, because most people have heard of a SMART goal. However, in my 4th book, and my second and the 4th book, I actually changed this to what is a SMARTY goal. Now, most people have heard of in goal setting that what the S stands for, it has to be specific. But specific basically means that it is something that has had a very definite criteria. If for an example, you say you make $45,000 a year and your goal is to make more money, then more money could mean 1 cent. So therefore, it was not specific enough. So you can never use more or less or anything like that. So anything generic whenever you're setting these kinds of goals. Now, a specific goal would be, let's say you're making $45,000 a year in business, and your goal next year was to make $60,000. So that is going to be a specific goal. It is something that you can actually know that you got there. The M stands for measurable. I may have misspelled it. Yep, I did. Measurable means it has to be measured. For an example, again, let's talk about the money situation. If you're going from 45 to 60, that is you can measure that by looking at how much money on your tax return, how much money you have in your bank account. You can see you are able to measure it. The same is true, let's say, for a fitness goal. And you want to go down, if you're a male, you want to go down, say, from 220 to 190. You know where you are on the way by measuring it by stepping on a scale. So a SMARTY goal has to be both specific and measurable. The A stands for attainable. It has to be something that is reasonably able to be attained. Now, I'll get into that one in just a second. The next one is how most people hear the words and SMART goal. They hear the letter R. It stands for relevant. So it has to be relevant to you. It has to pertain to what you actually really want. If you set goals that are that is unrelatable, then that is not going to be that's not going to be a relevant goal. How I learned a SMART goal with the R was something else. It actually stood for it had to be risky. Okay, so risky means, for the most part, for those of you, it means that you're doing something different. It means that if you're doing the same thing over and over again, then you're not going to be that's not going to be a goal. You have to do something different. You have to push yourself. And when you push yourself, you're taking some kind of risk. And then I'm just going into the T. It has to have a time frame. It has to have a deadline. Because a goal without a deadline for you to get there is more of a wish or a dream. So you definitely want to make sure you have a time frame on there. Now, before I get into the last letter, which to me is by far the most important, one, is I'm going to give you an example. In 2010, at that time, I weighed 240 pounds. I was a fairly large person. I decided I wanted to lose weight, and I started doing a program called P90X. Now, who in here has ever heard of P90X? Just put a Y or yes if you have, or N or no, N for no. So let's see if I need to explain it more. So Kyle has. Pooja has not. Okay, P90X was an at-home fitness program, video fitness program put together by a company called Beachbody, and it was led by a guy named Tony. And they ended up making a 90-day program where you go through a specific workout routines that you do, like doing push-ups, pull-ups, and you can use weights or bands, and for people to actually lose weight. They also had a dietary program as well. Well, back then, this was in late April 2010, I decided I would start doing P90X. And in 60 days or 60-ish days, I was meeting up with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and we were going to go to my 25-year high school reunion. So my thing was, I wanted to get, I wanted to lose a lot of weight. My goal was within 90 days was to go from 240 to 170 pounds. That would have been a 70-pound weight loss in 90 days. Now I'm going to go back to the SMARTY goal for right now to see if that was a SMARTY goal. So was I specific, going from 240 to 170? That was a very specific goal. With this, I want to lose weight. I want to get down to 170. So it was specific. Was it measurable? Well, it could be, because I will measure by just weighing myself every day at the same time to see if I was losing weight or how much weight I was losing. Now, let me ask you this, and the only person I can see is Kyle, so I'm going to probably go off of him. Was it attainable? Would you say yes or no? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
You mean the weight in that time frame?
Yeah, lose 70 pounds in 90 days.
I haven't lost more than a pound a
without an
day, so
operation. Without any operation. So most people would say, a lot of people would say that I asked this to when I covered this topic, they say yes. But I would say now looking at it from a different perspective, my goal was to lose 3/4 to 1 pound per day consistently daily for 3 months. Usually was like losing a half pound to a pound a week is good. I was trying to lose one a day. In all honesty, I got down to 180 and I maintained 180 for a few years. So I lost 60 pounds in 90 days. Now, was it relevant? Would you say? And it was,
Yeah,
I was
overall.
wanting to eat better. I was wanting, it was fitness, so it was relevant to my goal or to myself. Was it risky? Well, I had to go on a mostly starvation diet while working out once or twice a day. And then did I have a time frame? Well, I had 90 days. Now, again, I met up with my ex-girlfriend, and we went to the high school reunion. And then, I came back and I finished the program. Now, the last 30 days, I'm going to ask Kyle to do this since he's, and Emery can do this as well, because she's also unmuted herself once. What do you think the last 30 days was by far the most difficult? And if you understand the reason for that, then you understand what the letter Y stands for. So I was asking anybody that wants to unmute and says, why do you think the last 30 days was the most difficult? Because you got to realize I had momentum going for me. And I had gotten, and I lost about 35, 40 pounds at the 60-day mark. Why do you think the last 30 days was so difficult?
Comfortability. You've already hit a point. Comfortability, you've hit a point where you've seen progress and you start to relax a little bit on your goals. Maybe lack of the accountability or motivation that initially prompted you to start going after them.
You're close. You're very, very close. So what this stands for is your why. What is your why for doing it? After I had met up with my girlfriend or my ex and went to high school reunion, my last 30, I had my why was gone. I just went, I got down to the 180 just out of sheer momentum and determination. But my motivation was gone. So whenever you're creating your task and you're looking to build your business and you're setting goals, I think by far this is the most important. Because a smart goal without a reason for achieving that goal, to me again is just a wish or a dream. But when you have that why, with that why, if you had a fitness goal and you had a very strong why, would you go out running when it's raining outside? If your why was strong enough. Or let's say we have a lady that's in college right now. Let's say if she was a single mom working 2 jobs and she wanted to go to college so she can get a better career, would that be a strong why? While somebody else's say that you can't do that, you don't have enough time. But if she had a strong enough why, then you will go after anything. Let me ask Kyle, do you have children?
No, I don't. I have 4 cats.
4 cats. Okay, so let's say if Kyle was a parent of 4 kids, and his 4 kids were across the room, and he had to walk across a 2x4 to get to those 4 kids, and those 2x4 was on the ground. Would he walk across the board to go get those 4 kids? I would say yes, but not if that board was 50 feet off the ground. He's walking across the same board. If your why is strong enough, your goal, you will be able to achieve that goal. That's all that I'm saying right there. Now I'm going to switch gears again a little bit, and I'm going to talk about sorry, didn't mean to do that. Effective time allocation. Okay, so I'm going to talk about something that is known as the 80-20 principle. Some of you guys may have heard this before, but I'm going to go and cover it anyway because it is covered here. And this is also known as, and I just found this out yesterday, that this is also known as the Pareto principle. Okay, so the principle is, and how this applies to time management is, this is the relationship between input and output. This essentially says input and output between or their relationship is rarely balanced. Basically, what that means is, whatever you're putting into something is not always going to be what you're going to be getting out of it. And so essentially what it means is 20% of your best efforts will produce 80% of your results. This is why the time allocation is so important. This is why you want to have you want to be looking at your critical and your non-critical things. This is why you don't want to be focusing on less important things when you got other things that you may focus on, because the 20% of those critical things will give you your 80% of your overall results. Okay. So again, you want to focus on urgent matters first. I'm just restating the same thing we said earlier. Focus on your urgent and critical tasks first. Now, there's three other principles that I want to talk about. So there's these are I have them labeled as time management techniques. The first thing I want to talk about is something that is known as the Pomodoro technique. And Pomodoro, I believe that's Italian for a tomato. That's what the word is based off of. So essentially what this is a time management technique that was produced in the 1980s, where you work. This is where you work for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. This could mean this gives your mind time to relax, so it's not always focused. So you want to work at look at this as work diligently for 25 minutes and then give yourself a 5-minute break. This could mean to go to the restroom. This could mean to refill your water glass. This go or get a cup of coffee, or whatever it is. But take a 5-minute break every 25 minutes. And there's also after 2 hours, and they're known as 4 pomodoros. Then take a 15 to 30-minute break. This is going to allow you to be will allow you to be a lot more effective. So by taking the breaks, that is going to give your mind time to relax. There's another one that is known as time blocking. Time blocking, this is when you plan your day in blocks of time. Now, one of the things that you may want to do is that you put this on your cell phone or on your calendar. Say, I'm going to spend, say, between 10 o'clock and noon, that 2 hours on, let's say, studying for a class, or I'm going to do this on writing this blog, or whatever it is that you're going to be doing. Time block your day out and give yourself that critical time that you're going to be needing. It doesn't matter if it's a 15 time a time block, or a 15-minute time block, or like a 2 or 3 hour time block. The next one that comes that works very similar to the time blocking is known as batch processing. essentially what this means is do similar tasks together or back to back. The reason being is when you're doing batch processing, you would start to develop systems, and then if you want to do something that's kind of similar, do that one next, because you're creating that system. Your mind, it will be a lot more effective by working those same things together, rather than saying, hey, I'm going to write this. Let's say I'm going to write a blog between 1 and 2. I'm going to go learn how to ride a horse between 2 and 3. Then 4 and 5, I'm going to whatever it is, clean the oven. Then 5 to 6, I'm going to write a blog. You're like, no, you get the similar things done together, and that process is known as batch processing. Does anybody have any questions at this moment? Only got a few more topics to cover before we're done. Okay. The next thing we've talked a little bit about as well is that you want to manage distractions and interruptions. By doing this, you again, this is like we talked about in the batch processing, is that you want to address common distractions faced by entrepreneurs. One of the biggest things that I've learned years ago, I think it was Brendan Bouchard that said it to me first, was is if you're a person, unless you're a person like that's in like real estate or something like that, only check your emails 3 times a day. There's really no reason for you to check it more than 3 times a day. Now, there are some businesses or some entrepreneurs that may need to check more often. This could be because they are waiting for contracts to come in, or they're waiting things to come in, so they may check it more often. But you want to manage those distractions and manage those interruptions. Okay, so I'm going to say emails 3 times a day. Morning, noon, and close to closing. And you can actually even let people know that these are the times I'm going to be checking emails, and maybe these are the times I'm going to be checking voice messages. So you want to manage your distractions. If you allow these distractions to constantly interrupt you, as you can see, that's going to heavily affect your time management skills. And also the next thing is, I'll leave that one in. Next thing is let people know that you are busy during the workday. A lot of people allow a friend or a cousin or a mom or dad or a child to constantly call them during the day, thereby taking, not only are they distracting the person from getting the work done, but it's going to take a while for them to get back into work mode once they're actually done with that conversation. So just let them know that you're not going to be available during certain times. Now, one of the things I like to do is for time management, is that I'm actually a very organized person. Or be organized. As an example, what I mean by that is for those of you that wear many hats, this is something I strongly suggest that you do. Now, I'm going to assume everybody on this call here uses a smartphone. It doesn't matter if it's an iPhone or a Droid or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But one of the things I really, really like to do is I like to color code the color code my types of things I'm doing. So this could be, for those of you that were to say 3 different kinds of hats, then you may have 3 different colors that you can be using. So what I do is I use a Google, the Google Calendar. The reason I use Google Calendar is because Google Calendar is so easily integrated with so many other programs. For an example, for like say at the very beginning, if you want to discover or do that discovery call, that's going to look at my cell phone as to when I am available, and it's looking at it on Google. And then when you actually schedule the appointment, then that's actually going to it's actually going to put that on my calendar. So here's how I color code my stuff. You don't have to use these colors. You don't have to use this system. But this is just what I use. Since my company, Optimal Performance Academy, is both purple and gold, anything that involves my company, any appointment that I use, is going to be a color purple. So that's everything with my company, OPA events. So this could mean, hey, I'm going to be going to this networking meeting. No, not necessarily a networking meeting. I'm going to go to this event, or I'm going to go and talk with other people about business-related stuff. So I will color code those as purple. I use green for anything that's real estate related. Since I was a realtor for so long, I always color code every real estate as green, because I always looked at the dark green was the color of money. So that's everything was always colored green. That's something I've been doing for over a decade now. Now, I do orange for discovery calls or any Zoom appointment for my business. Now, of course, I could. I'm deliberately using a different color than purple for those events, because I want to make sure I'm wearing the right hat. So the orange, when I see an orange appointment, I know that's going to be a call that's coming up very, very soon. I use yellow for events I'm hosting. So, for an example, this Zoom meeting on every Tuesday, and all the webinars that I'm doing on Thursday, and also the event that I'm having on September 2nd, those are all in the color yellow. I use black for when I'm a guest on a podcast, or if I'm going to be doing a speaking engagement. I use them all. Everything is black. I use light blue for personal events. And I will also use light brown for workouts. And then I use red for networking meetings. So as you can see, I have like 7 or 8 different colors that I use on my phone. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my week for this week on my calendar. And I know it's very small because I'm sharing my screen, but as you can see right there, that's my, as you can see, I have a different range of different colors. And the reason I like doing that is I can, when I look at my phone, I see an event's coming up. The first thing I look at is the color. And then I say, oh, right now we have the Business Ninjas event, which is this meetup group, is going on. I now know that means I'm going to have to be in front of my computer, and I'm going to be the one that's going to be talking most of the time. While tomorrow morning, I have an appointment at 10 o'clock that's already orange, so I know that's going to be a Zoom call. So I like the color codes, because I know what mood do I need to be in, or what mindset do I need to be in, or what hat should I be wearing. And also when you start color coding some things and you're putting it on your calendar, you're showing yourself that you are busy at that time. So you're not to be distracted. Now, I'm not saying that you do not reorganize your day or change. You can't be inflexible. You can be flexible, but by having on your calendar, knowing what is it you're going to be doing, if you color code at least 2 or 3 different colors, for the different kinds of things that you're going to be doing, I think this is going to make you a lot more successful as far as building your business, as well as also manage your time effectively. Now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here at the moment. And I'm going to open up the floor to any questions. And I'm going to also go ahead and save this Word file. And I'm going to put it in the chat so that you guys can have it for your own leisure. So go ahead and unmute yourself. I'd like to hear some questions, or if you had comments or whatever you'd like to say about what you've learned so far today.
Hey, Kevin, regarding the task management portion, I have tried every possible option when it comes to keeping track of a to-do list, as far as notebooks, as far as reminders, task lists, anything that I can to keep a task organized and maintained. And usually what I find is that it just kind of fades to the wayside and gets forgotten about, or the tasks need to be moved from one day to the next and really just don't have any effectiveness. So what I did find is a program called Motion. And what it does is allows you to add the tasks, and it fills in those tasks based on your priorities and the timeframes between the events you have scheduled. And if you don't have time to complete it, you can move it to another day. Or if it noticed that, you know, it's Monday and you haven't gotten through your task list yet, it automatically rearranges those based on your availability and prioritizes those based on the ones that you say are most important. So to me, that has been the most effectiveness, or the most effective, when it comes to making sure tasks are kept organized and follow me throughout the days, instead of just being in a, you know, a notebook that's tossed aside after, you know, a week.
And is this an app for your phone that you're talking about?
Phone, computer, tablet, anything. Yeah.
Okay, good. You said something about motion. Yeah, if you've got if you have an electronic system for doing that, then I would say definitely use something like that. Especially if it's flexible and you can move things around. Then that's going to be a good reminder, because you always have it there in front of you. And I'm assuming you can go there and you can probably click a button saying that it's done. I would assume.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So who has a big problem with procrastination? Well, as far as procrastination, I the I've never been a person who was a procrastinator, because I always looked at, like, when I was in college and somebody gave me a week to do the paper, I'm working on it the first day. So what it is, usemotion.com. Thank you, Kyle. So for Pooja, the thing is I would say you have to look at as to why you're procrastinating. One of the things that my mom she was always late for everything. And for me, that meant I cannot be late for everything, because I did not want to be like her as that. So that's going to be more of a mindset shift, rather than, you have to look at it as like, instead of saying putting it off now and then you're going through that pain later to try to get it done in a hurry. If you do it now, that will give you pleasure later, to have that free time without having to worry about this thing is coming due. So that, to me, it would be a mindset shift. I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything to that.
Oh my goodness, yes. I have had this problem, and let me tell you, I have worked with business coaches and therapists on this, so I've racked up a lot of experience and tools over the years. And the biggest thing stopping you is fear, right? Fear is at the heart of procrastination. How do you get over that fear? Don't think about the fear. I have a book. I highly recommend you read it. It's Mel Robbins, The 5-Second Rule. You may have listened to the TED Talk. It's quite popular, but I urge you to dive a little bit deeper and listen to the book. It's on Audible. When you're feeling that low motivation, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start the tasks. Your brain's going to tell you why you shouldn't do it, what's stopping you. You can spend your whole life trying to dissolve that fear, or yeah, I can do that, Pooja, or you can just do it. And it's been life-changing for me. Literally the past 2 weeks I've been using it, and I just do it. Also, a book I was also listening to, it had a part of a task list where the section was don't think, just do. So those tasks that you may feel like you want to procrastinate on, put it under a list like that. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, count down, just make yourself do it. Let me tell you, after you do that one and you abolish that first fear, you're going to feel a lot more confident, and you're going to kind of be curious, what else am I capable of doing? I hope that helped.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I definitely put that in the chat, so that Pooja can find it. And you said that was the audiobook that you were listening to. Mel Robbins, 5 seconds.
Yeah, I like it on Audible. It's just, opening a book and reading it. Come on, if you're not doing tasks, that's going to be hard. Having something easy to play on your phone, it's going to break down a lot of barriers.
But the thing is, the good thing about audiobooks, because I used to have a lot of audiobooks back when I was in real estate, when I lived in Las Vegas. Um, I was in my car so much, driving from one house to the next house to the next, showing houses or going around shooting video and pictures of houses. Having an audiobook that you can listen to in your car. Oh my gosh. I mean, you can get so much stuff done during that dead time.
Yeah, I agree. I do the same thing driving between insurance clients.
Mhm. And well, that's all the information that I have. Does anybody else wants to input anything, share anything? I am make sure that if you want to go ahead and download the chat here with the three dots right next to the smiley face, the very bottom of the chat box. And if not, go the document is already in the chat as well. My notes that I took on this. If you want those, you can download those. And don't forget, if you go to our website at the BKW 97, that will do our upcoming workshop for $97. And again, you can bring a friend for free. And then we also have these trainings every 3 o'clock on Tuesday. They are being recorded. I'm going to check out after this recording is done how the Facebook Live version went, because I'm very curious how that went. And just join us for that. If you see that you like some of these courses and you want to take a look at some of the previous ones, you can join us in the classroom. That is a membership site for only $17 a month. You're going to listen to them as long as you're going to listen to any of them and in any order that you want. So just look at listen to the ones that you like. And if that's it, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.